Color guard attention. Audience, please rise. Please place your hands over your heart. Forward march. Color guard halt. Color guard cross the colors. Color guard, honor your colors. Please recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, return to ranks.
Welcome. I'd like to thank everyone here for making it out to Mayor Coleman's 2011 State of the City Address. Before we begin, let's give a hand to Shayla Farrar from Walker West Music Academy and instructor Earl Ross for that great music. My name is Karina Cortez, and I'm a senior at Highland Park Senior High School.
My name is Javante Williams. I'm a senior at Highland as well. For those of you who have attended this speech before, typically Council President Lintry provides the opening of this address. But Karina and I thought after 5 straight years, we would give her the day off. Well, I admit, President Lynch leaves big shoes to fill. We would try. As the youth representative for the Promised Neighborhood Advisory Board, it is exciting that today's speech is taking place close to the heart of St. Paul's planned Promised Neighborhood.
Like the St. Paul Promised Neighborhood, there's a lot of exciting work going on in the surrounding education. I know for myself, I had the privilege of participating in the last summer's AVID St. Paul Glacier National Park project. It was an incredible experience and about as far from the urban city of St. Paul as you can get. Without this experience as a youth mentor in the Youth Leadership Initiative through the Wilder Foundation, I wouldn't have decided to pursue a career in community organizing or homeland security. I guess I just have to decide which side I want to be on.
Since taking office in 2006, Mayor Chris Coleman has made education his #1 priority. This focus on education can be seen in every corner of the city, preparing all youth for success as long after high school, and allowing students to dream big. But don't take our word for it. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Pa, and I go to Chelsea Heights Elementary. When I grow up, I want to be a dentist.
I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
When I grow up, I want to be a basketball player.
I want to be a police officer, politician, or an author when I grow up.
And I want to be a psychiatrist when I grow up.
And I want to be an athlete when I grow up.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
Hi, my name is Dejan Hall. I go to Obama Elementary, and when I grow up, I want to be a football player.
And when I get older, I want to be a pediatrician.
And when I grow up, I want to be a policeman. I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up.
And when I grow up, I'm going to be a dancer.
And I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
I want to be a basketball player when I grow up.
My name is Trayvon Big, and I go to Film Lake Elementary Magnet School. And what I want to be when I grow up is I want to be a policeman.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher.
When I grow up, I want to be a soccer player.
When I grow up, I want to be a fireman.
What I want to be when I grow up is an artist.
When I grow up, I want to be a scientist.
My name is Muskan Harula, and I'm a student in the Cobus Montessori, and I want to become an architect when I grow up.
And I want to be a basketball player when I grow up.
But I want to be a teacher.
When I grow up, I want to be an inventor.
When I grow up, I would like to be a president, an explorer, an inventor, an architect, or an athlete.
When I grow up, I want to be a WNBA basketball player.
I want to be a lawyer to show independence, and I want to be a doctor to hold life in my hands and to save people's lives.
It is our pleasure to now introduce Mayor Chris Coleman. Under Mayor Coleman's leadership, St. Paul has seen incredible growth in recent years, from advancing education to construction in the Central Corridor to increasing energy efficiency throughout the city. Mayor Coleman is laying a strong foundation for St. Paul's future.
Please join us in welcoming Mayor Chris Coleman.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Please. So great to see you all here today. We're going to try a little experiment. I'm going to try to out-tech my mayor to the west, and I'm going to try to do this off of an iPad. So if it fails miserably, the good news is that the speech will be very short. I want to thank, first of all, Karina and Jovanta for their introduction. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of what our great city. Let's also thank the great artists from the Midway Y that did this wonderful mural behind us. It's just so great to see kids having their creative juices flow and come out. And this is a great vision of the city of St. Paul, full of color, full of life, full of vibrancy. And let's thank our talented youthful artists. I want to thank all of our elected officials that are here today. There are many of them. I won't mention them all. I want to thank all of my department directors that have joined us for their incredible work. I will single out Rick Larkin, who I'm not even sure, I haven't seen Rick, there he is, for his tireless efforts on behalf of trying to protect us from floods. Thank you, Rick, for your work. And now would you get back to work, please? With 6 inches of snow coming tomorrow, I'm not sure what the future holds in terms of floods, but thank you all that have worked on that. And thank you all to my partners on the City Council. And congratulations, by the way, to Pat Harris, for whom this will be the last State of the City address that he has to actually sit through. So congratulations, Pat, and to all my partners on the City Council for being here this afternoon. And welcome to Jimmy Lee Rec Center, where the future leaders of St. Paul come to, we're starting off bad. Rec centers choke me up. It reminds me of when I wasn't very good at sports as a kid. We're going to try that again. Welcome to Jimmy Lee Rec Center, where the future leaders of the city of St. Paul come to learn, play, grow into successful adults. As you can see from the video that you just watched, our children have lots of hopes and ambitions. It reminds me a little bit of the movie Field of Dreams, in that great scene where Kevin Costner finally tracks Doc Graham down to Chisholm, Minnesota. And as they're sitting there, Burt Lancaster asks Costner why he drove all the way from Iowa to find out about half an inning of baseball half a century earlier, where Burt Lancaster missed his chance to finally hit once in the big leagues. Kevin Costner says, Lancaster says, well, why did you come here? And Costner says, I think it's to ask you if you could do anything you wanted, if you could have one wish. And Burt Lancaster interrupts him and says, and you're the kind of man that can grant that wish? We often ask our children if they could do anything that they wanted to, if they could be anything that they wanted to be, what would they do? But the more important question is, are we the kind of community that can grant that kind of wish? We believe ourselves to be that community. And for many of our children, we are. But with one of the largest achievement gaps in the entire country, with too many of our children ill-prepared to take their place in the 21st century workforce, we must make the aspirations for our community a reality for our children. Today, we're closer than ever to delivering on the promise to all St. Paul children. We're better organized, we're more focused, and engaged in unprecedented ways on behalf of our young learners. It's no accident. Today, St. Paul is strong because of our partnerships being strong. Partnerships between the mayor's office and the city council, between the city, the school district, and our teachers, between government and business, between community organizers and funders, even between partnerships between cities that had formerly known only competition but now know cooperation. You heard a little bit earlier that Karina was one of the children that had an opportunity last year to go out to Glacier National Park. There were 11 other children from Highland Avid program that participated in that program. For many of them, it was the first time they'd ever even been outside the city of St. Paul or the Twin Cities. For all of them, it was the first time that they'd ever been to Glacier National Park. The intent of the program was to take kids out of their normal comfort zone, expose them to the wilderness, and help them realize how much they could accomplish when given the chance. Upon seeing the park, they were amazed at the clarity of the water, the intensity of the blue sky, and the scale of the soaring peaks. Truth be told, they were a little scared of grizzly bears too. They're smart kids. This whole idea of sending our children out to Glacier National Park was started with my personal experience as a young man working in Glacier. It was ignited by the Ken Burns series on the National Park Service, or the National Parks, that taught me that it is a fundamentally American concept to preserve wilderness. And it is fundamental that wilderness is fundamental to the essence of what it means to be an American. This vision to take our children to Glacier was picked up by Mike Hom, our Parks and Rec director. He enlisted the aid of Wilderness Inquiry, the National Park Service, and funding partners, including Louis Hill, whose great-grandfather, James J. Hill, was instrumental in the creation of Glacier National Park. The experience of the Glacier Project demonstrates what we know very well in St. Paul. Kids learn from a variety of experiences in a variety of places, with all of us serving as teachers, mentors, and guides along the way. We have to expand these opportunities for our kids to learn outside of the classroom. But this can only be done through tapping into the incredible network of community partners throughout the city of St. Paul. 3 weeks ago, over 70 community partners stood together to launch Sprockets, St. Paul's out-of-school time network. With our children spending 80% of their time outside of school, parents need a convenient way to identify quality out-of-school time programs for their children within their own neighborhoods. Sprockets is grounded in data about how children learn. Even the name is kid-tested and kid-approved. So if you have any complaints, blame the children. In addition to helping their parents find activities for the children, it will allow us to measure how well these programs assist us in our efforts to close the achievement gap and prepare all of our children to succeed. Just as the Glacier Project was made possible through the power of partnership, so too was the launching of Sprockets. Hundreds of residents and dozens of providers sat through countless community meetings in order to inform our thinking. But there was no more important partner than Nan Skelton in the Center for Democracy and Citizenship. Nan not only helped guide our work, but she truly believed in our mission and helped the center become a vested partner in the success of Sprockets. Thank you, Nan, for all of your efforts. Thank you for the center, and thank you for your work on behalf of our children. I also want to thank our partners that helped fund this effort, Travelers, McKnight, and the Kellogg Foundations. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out my own staff that have done such an incredible job on this effort. Kit Hadley, Carrie Dennison, and Jane Eastwood brought this effort to life and have really given it wings, and it is about to take off. Thank you so much for your efforts. In addition to Sprockets, our work continues on the St. Paul Promise neighborhood. The Promise neighborhood will transform our whole approach to education and community partnership, starting with the 250-block area in the Frogtown and Summit University neighborhood. It is rooted in the idea that kids learn best when their families are healthy and when there is stability at home and at school. The Promise neighborhood will integrate in and out of school time with family and community support from cradle to career. Just last week, $30 million was set aside for Promise neighborhoods nationwide, signaling that it continues to be a priority for the Obama administration. I am confident that St. Paul is in a strong position to receive further resources for our work in the Promise neighborhoods. It is the power of our partnerships that instills me with such faith. As Councilmember Carter can attest, we have an incredible team working on this, a team supporting more than 150 community members, providers, and experts, all focused on coming together and coming to the table to develop solutions together. I want to thank some of those partners that have been there at that table. Mike Howe Hang, Hamilton Bell, Paul Matesich, and Ronnie Brooks from Wilder. The always present Billy Collins, who chairs our advisory board, Andrew Collins from the school district, and Heather Worthington from Ramsey County, who are working with city staff to figure out how to work more cooperatively. And again, a city staffer works so hard on this effort. I want to thank Erica Schumacher, who has worked so hard to keep this effort on track and fought to ensure that the voices of the community are heard throughout the process. Let's thank them all for stepping up on behalf of our kids. All of our efforts in the city directed towards closing the achievement gap and assuring that our children receive a world-class 21st century education are dependent upon a world-class 21st century school system. We must have confidence that the 39,000 children in the St. Paul Public School System have exceptional in-school instruction. That's why the work that Superintendent Silva and our school board just completed is so important. Strong schools, strong communities is not just a slogan, nor is it a strategic plan. Strong schools, strong communities is a realignment of how our schools provide access and opportunity for a great education for every child in the city of St. Paul. I want to thank Superintendent Silva for recognizing the strength of community partnerships in the development of this key plan. There was understandably a great deal of angst among parents whose children will be affected by the new structure. Change is difficult, but the status quo is unacceptable. We do no service to any of our children when we acknowledge the wide achievement gap, but don't undertake the dramatic system change to correct it. Our work is making those changes. If there's a distinct characteristic to our work on education, I believe it lies in the acceptance of responsibility rather than the imposition of blame. We don't point our fingers at our teachers and say, it's your fault. We don't abandon our families and tell them it's your responsibility. Rather, we gather together and ask what it's going to take to get this job done. We know that there are many pieces to the parts of the puzzle of education. I personally have come to believe that perhaps the most important decision in education today is who gets the parking spot closest to the front door of our school buildings. Strong schools are not possible without exceptional principals. There is a direct link between effective school leadership and higher student achievement. That's why I'm so pleased that as part of Superintendent Silva's work, there is a bold plan to improve leadership at all levels of the district. The St. Paul Public Schools Leadership Development Initiative recognized that schools need principals who are not only strong instructional leaders, but who can also manage change, build strong teams, engage staff and families, and the entire community to create a positive learning environment for our children. Patrick Bryan and Andrew Collins, both of who were well known for their strong leadership when they were principals, are leading this effort. Again, our foundational support comes from folks at Travelers Foundation. Let's join them in supporting their work and making this kind of fundamental change that will guide our children well into the future. For all of this work, St. Paul is known nationally as an education city. Let's be proud of that. But let's declare today that every child in that video and every child in the city will achieve their full potential. We are truly a community that can make those dreams come true for our children. Even in the Central Corridor, education is at the core of our mission. A strong transit system will allow children to get from their school to an after-school program, downtown for an internship, or after graduation from high school to one of the many colleges or universities connected to the corridor. We know that the advent of light rail creates many worries among our friends and families, homeowners and business owners along the corridor. That's why the deep partnerships that we have formed over these last several years have become so important. With construction underway, our efforts to strengthen the partnerships to ensure success are more important than ever. Just last week, after hearing from the voices of the community, we stood with the Metropolitan Council to showcase more than $10 million of assistance for businesses impacted during the construction process. These funds include $4 million in forgivable loans to help small businesses prepare for construction and remain financially stable throughout. It includes another $2 million that will go towards improving off-street parking along University Avenue. Supporting our businesses is critical during construction. The mitigation fund was made possible by the Metropolitan Council, Living Cities, the City of St. Paul, the Central Corridor Funders Collaborative, and a number of other foundations. And while we thank our funding partners, there's something that each one of us can do to help businesses along the corridor. There's a simple card called the Discover Central Corridor Perks Card. We have some, I believe, in the back of the room, and I want all of us to walk out of here with one of these cards in our pocket. This program connects us all to daily deals at over 50 businesses along University Avenue and Washington Avenues along the corridor. It's these simple acts sometimes that make the greatest difference. Go out, support our businesses along the corridor. Go out a little extra way out of your way. Use this card, and let's make sure that our businesses along the corridor benefit from the construction and truly take advantage of this important project in the city of St. Paul. Much of our work along the corridor and the success of our work is dependent upon another great city staffer, Nancy Holmans. I want to thank Nancy for her efforts, her patience, her dedication, the bruises she has taken, and all of the tireless meetings that she has been to throughout this process. Nancy, thank you so much for your work. So look, after only 30 years of talking about the Central Corridor, years of discussion, planning, designing, Next week, April 26th, we will sign the full funding grant agreement that will finally complete the funding for this project. That's all well and good, and it certainly will be a day to celebrate, but here's a more interesting fact. As of February 28th of this past year, February 28th, a couple months ago, 11.9% of the entire construction of the Central Corridor has already been completed. Who says St. Paulites aren't overachievers? St. Paul continues to be a city of opportunity for all, and our recent efforts have strengthened that fact. For 3 years, the EMS Academy has provided low-income residents with a pathway into the health field. Residents like Donnell Gibson. Donnell was sent to live with his grandmother during middle school after his father went to jail. When his grandmother passed away, Donnell spent the next few years moving between more than a dozen foster homes. By the end of his senior year, Donnell had no permanent home and was sleeping on different couches each night. With the birth of his son, Donnell Jr., Donnell wanted to provide his child the stability that he had not known. He became the first in his family to graduate from high school, and through the support of teachers and mentors, Donnell found the EMS Academy. Donnell is now a certified EMT, working full-time in the city's Parks and Recreation Department, and part-time driving a transport van for Alina. His dedication toward giving back to our community can be seen in his interactions with kids right here at Jimmy Lee Rec Center, as well as those that he has mentored through our Youth in Transition program on the East Side. There are thousands of kids in the city of St. Paul today who are facing the same obstacles that Donnell did. We must stand with Donnell and all of those similarly situated to provide the support they need to be successful. Donnell has become an excellent role model for all of our children and for all of us in this community. And I don't know where, Donnell, where did you go? There you are. Donnell, please stand and thank you on behalf of the city of St. Paul. We'll soon have a lot more stories like Donnell's through our Road to Success program. This effort will help low-income residents obtain a commercial driver's license. This simple act, getting that commercial driver's license, will open the door to many well-paying jobs, either along the Central Corridor or perhaps with the city of St. Paul itself. The EMS Academy and the Road to Success program are examples of how, through education and partnership, we can tackle some of our most difficult challenges. They came to life through the creative work of Luz Maria Frias, our Human Rights and Equal Economic Opportunity Director. Let's thank Luz for her partnership and her creativity. Education and partnership also guides our work on sustainability. From the Energy Innovation Corridor that will maximize the use of new efficient technologies along Central Corridor, to the new solar panels atop the River Center complex. We're fortunate to have Xcel, District Energy, and many other partners who have come to the table to make these efforts possible. At Humboldt High School on the west side, an environmental studies component has been added to the curriculum, providing students with first-hand learning experience promoting sustainability. And last week, Hilda Solis, the Secretary of Labor, visited Viking Drill and Tool Company. She witnessed firsthand the innovative energy approaches this company has recently taken. These changes not only made the company greener, it made the company leaner, saving nearly $100,000 through energy conservation. In turn, these savings are being reinvested in the company, creating more jobs in the city of St. Paul. Because they've made these changes, they are now working with the St. Paul Port Authority to transform a brownfield and build a 35,000 square foot expansion next to their plant on the west side. Much of this work has been led by Ann Hunt, our sustainability coordinator. She's brought the partners to the table chased funding streams, and put St. Paul on the map as one of the leaders on green jobs creation. And thank you for your work. There's also an unprecedented level of partnership across this region, changing how we do economic development in the Twin Cities. These efforts are geared towards one thing: creating jobs in our community. For too long, our region has pitted city against city, East Metro versus West Metro. We have focused resources on luring a business away from one city to another. Unfortunately, while we viewed our competition as Minneapolis or Eden Prairie, our real competition, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Silicon Valley, or Boston, realized that they were in a battle with Beijing, Singapore, or Sao Paulo. How we view our competition is about to change. In the last several years, major initiatives have been launched, partnerships formed, and organizations restructured to make our region among the most competitive in the entire world. In addition to the Green Jobs Initiative, we have the following efforts underway. First, the Regional Economic Development Partnership. It's a private-public initiative that will integrate the activities of 40 regional economic development organizations to provide a more effective model for recruiting, retaining, and creating jobs in the region. In addition, the Metropolitan Business Plan is focused on entrepreneurial acceleration that will help rekindle the innovative spirit that led to the start of so many of our Fortune 500 companies. And the Regional Council Mayor's Cluster Strategy will help us focus on what we already do well and help us do it even better. In addition, we've also restructured the work of the Capital City Partnership. It has to be singularly focused on retaining and expanding and attracting jobs to the city of St. Paul. Under the new leadership of Joel Atkinson, I am confident that we will get there too, and we will be at the table in all of these regional discussions. Growing the regional pie is important. Making sure St. Paul gets its share is critical. Guarding the point throughout our efforts has been our Planning and Economic Development Director, Cecile Bedore. She's fought to make sure that the protocol that guides our work allows St. Paul to compete on a level playing field. I want to thank Cecile and her staff for their tireless efforts on behalf of the City of St. Paul. It's beyond question that there's a new vitality in our downtown. Bulldog, Barrio, Bin, and Black Sheep restaurants have added much to downtown. But least you think that we only have B's in our lexicon. Faces and Heartland keep Mears Park hopping, while on the other end of downtown, the Grill, Sakura, Pazzaluna, Kincaid's have joined an expanded Meritage to keep the pulse going in Rice Park. Now when companies looking to locate their business look at downtown St. Paul, they see a thriving downtown and they see the beauty of our parks. They hear the sounds of a growing music scene anchored by our jazz festival, as well as the world-class Ordway, the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, the Minnesota Opera Company, and the Schubert Club. The addition of a regional ballpark will only add to that vitality, and that is why we are so committed to making that happen. When I look at the opportunities before us, I'm excited for the future of our city. But I also see a very real threat to our efforts at the state capitol. Proposals to dismantle local government aid, remove critical funding from our schools, and decimate our transportation network are as real as they are short-sighted. I'm cognizant of the fact that the state faces a huge budget challenge. Closing out one of the worst recessions since the 1930s has left Minnesota struggling to overcome a $5 billion budget deficit. No one can honestly suggest that there are simple solutions to the problem, but there are wrong solutions. Today I've mentioned several public employees that have worked hard on behalf of the City of St. Paul. Attacking those that choose to dedicate their lives to public service does nothing to advance the debate before us. And misguided proposals that take aim at the heart of the three largest cities in the state, including St. Paul, serve only to undermine the very things that will make Minnesota strong. By what logic could one possibly determine the best way to make Minnesota strong is to destroy its most vital cities? And what philosophy could possibly lead one to the conclusion that taking money away from public schools of St. Paul or Minneapolis and giving that money to schools in other parts of our state is either fair or far-sighted? The blatant political nature of the attacks against us would be laughable were they not so dangerous. They also fly in the face of our incredible work we have done in the city of St. Paul over the last several years. In St. Paul, we have balanced our budget with a balanced approach. We put public safety first and continue to make St. Paul one of the safest communities in the entire country. We have aligned educational resources in unprecedented ways on behalf of all of our children. While I want to thank Governor Dayton for supporting our city, we cannot simply rely on his veto pen. The future greatness of our community depends on how well we educate our children. We must not stand silent in the face of attacks on our efforts to close that achievement gap. We are reshaping how we do economic development in this region. We cannot put up with efforts to take us backwards when we need to compete in a global economy. St. Paul stands strong today, and the state of the city is sound. The promises that we have made to our children and to our families and to all residents are solidly rooted in great partnerships in our understanding of our common destiny. Our city is at a time of great change, but that is not new to us. That is our history. It is our future. The question before us is whether we will rise to meet the challenges of this new century. Look around this room. Look at the partnerships we have formed. Look at the commitment we have made to our children and to a bright future for each and every one of them. When we look around this city, there can be no doubt St. Paul will truly live up to its full potential and the promise that is our home. Thank you very much.